Now, with coverage you trust, this is 10 News Conference.
Last week's budget debate at the Rhode Island House of Representatives saw Speaker of the House Gordon Fox in panic mode in order to get enough votes for an initial payment of bonds for the failed 38 Studios fiasco. He had to cut a deal with Aquidneck Island reps to eliminate the controversial tolls on the Secana Bridge, at least for a while. But Fox, looking weaker than ever, had many battles over many of the budget articles. One of the combatants is our guest this morning on 10 News Conference, Representative Joe Trillo. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Good morning. It's a pleasure.
Before we start the questioning, I'm going to run a clip of just to give the viewers a little taste of the acrimony that took place in the House chambers. So why don't we just take a look at Mr. Trillo talking to House Speaker Gordon Fox.
I'm not interested in context. I'm interested in dollars.
Okay,
it's a mathematical problem.
Representative Trillo, Whip Trillo, you're looking for answers. You've been characterizing answers all day, and I'm letting you do that. They're trying to answer.
You're
it.
letting me do it, Mr. Speaker?
I am, because
well, thank you so much.
You've been belittling the people.
Thank you
You've been belittling.
Well, you know what? I don't want to let people get off in
tangents. There's a way to ask the questions, including it sat on the desk for 7 days. Why don't you ask the question over the 7 days?
I've asked
Let them answer the question. Don't you shout down me. You may be a bully, but don't you shout down me, Representative. Sit down. Representative Corvasi.
How the hell do I follow that?
So let's follow that. How are you getting along with the Speaker nowadays?
Well, you know, I think it's expected. I really, to some extent, we're in a hot room. It's 110 degrees, and I'm asking the same question over and over. The question is, it's a very simple question. If we're spending approximately $600 million for people on right care, and we're removing the parents of those people, we're keeping the kids on right care.
That's the 6,500?
Right. 6,500. How much are we actually going to save? So initially they said, well, we're estimating our savings is going to be somewhere around $6 million a year. So I said, so then we're actually still spending $594 million a year. Oh, no, that's not right. That's not right. Well, can somebody tell me what the right answer is? So then one person stands up and he's trying to talk to me about the program. I'm not asking you about the program. I'm asking you for a number. Then Representative Samini starts, and she starts to talk about the program and how beneficial it is. I'm not questioning the benefits of the program. So that's what happened with that.
Does this get to an issue of fuzzy numbers that they're using up there to come up with a budget?
Sometimes it does, but you know, again, what I was trying to do is pinpoint them down to actual numbers. I don't sit on the Finance Committee, so I'm not privy to everything that's going on. Not to say that even the Finance Committee's privy, because the Finance Committee didn't even see the budget until the morning that the budget was introduced, and that's the first time they know what's in the budget.
Let me ask you this about Speaker Fox. As we said in the open, he had to cut this deal to get his votes for the bond payment.
Correct.
And that was, I mean, and he lost that pension contribution deal, which is almost unheard of for a strong speaker. Is he weakened to the point where you think next session he can no longer be speaker?
Well, I think he's been weakened substantially. This is the 13th budget I've had. It's the first budget I've seen really blown apart. And the speaker should have been able to control that budget. He should have never lost that article where his intent was to put the $12.9 million, which really didn't belong in the general revenue, because we had made a commitment to the retirees when we did pension reform in 2010. The commitment was we were going to take any surplus money in any given year, and we were going to put that surplus money into the pension fund, which was way underfunded by billions, along with our regular payment of about $250 million a year. So here we are in 2012, we have a surplus of $12.9 million. That money was supposed to go in. Instead, what they did is scoop it, throw it in the 2014 budget, and now they want to use it, which would be violating the agreement that they made with the union.
A couple of questions on that. First of all, isn't it kind of ironic that the fiscally conservative governor is the one who scooped that money, right, in his budget? After making pension reform and saying that we get into trouble by either not maintaining our bridges or not making our payments to the pension, and it all piles up, and yet then he's going to take it away the year after they have the big pension reform? That seemed a little bit strange.
You're talking about Governor Chafee.
Yeah.
I never try to second guess him.
Well, and then the Democratic leadership goes along with it. What I found interesting about the defeat of Article 5 was that coalition between Republicans and the lefties up there.
But see, the assumption is that Republicans are against unions. We're not against unions. We're about fiscal management and good fiscal management. We know that the government should have been contributing to the pension thing, and for years they were scooping all that money every year, throwing it at the general revenue. So, you know, if you say to me, we still took hits when we had to face the reality that we did the pension reform. I supported it. I would support it again today. We were in a very bad situation. But don't make a deal and come out of the box a year later and now you're going to break the deal again. We're going right back to where we were before. So if we don't hold their feet to the fire right now, I think it was a mistake.
Well, let's talk about 38 Studios. To this day, the public still doesn't know the real nitty-gritty details of how all that went down, from former Governor Carcieri to Speaker Fox to the
Michael Corso.
Michael Corso and the former EDC
Keith Stokes.
Keith Stokes. Should there be an investigation?
There absolutely should be an investigation.
Will there be one?
There won't be one as long as we're relying on it to do it internally, because we just don't. They're trying to argue that that our internal oversight commission, which is chaired by Michael Marcello, is going to be able to do the investigation. That is so far from the truth. It's totally painting you something that doesn't exist. There's no way we can audit ourselves. We can't do that and do it accurately and do it honestly. The only way we're really going to know what this is when we don't pay it. The insurance companies come up and pay the bondholders, so the bondholders are taken care of. Now the insurance companies come after the state. And when they come after the state, they're going to try to show what was done and what happened, which could include the fact that maybe this governor, who EDC was responsible to hire an organization to oversee what was going on, didn't do it. So did he not do it because he wanted it to fail? Yeah, Link Chafee.
Right.
Did he do it because he wanted it to fail? Because he campaigned against it? Because he said that it was a bad idea, which I give him kudos for saying it was a bad idea once he found out what it was. I said it was a bad idea once I found out what it was. But the bottom line is, if we don't let the insurance companies pay this bill, which the bondholders required them to spend like $530 million to buy the policy. If we don't let that happen and let the insurance companies come after the state, I don't think we're ever going to get to the bottom. And I want to know the bottom because I was lied to on the House floor. And when I go in that room and I ask for figures and they can't give me accurate figures, when we're going to debate an issue like we debated for the $125 million put in that program, then who can I trust?
All right, so who do you think knew at that time?
I can't imagine, although he said he didn't, that the Speaker of the House didn't know. I don't think anything.
How could the Speaker of the House not know? He set up, there was a meeting in his
I'm only
office.
telling you what I heard him say.
He says he didn't know it was for Schilling. How about Costantino, the finance chairman at the time?
Constantino is questionable. I think he maybe didn't know. I can give everybody the benefit of the doubt. Nothing happens in that room.
Keith Stokes had to know.
Oh, Keith Stokes knew. I think Governor Carcieri knew that it was going before the legislature.
How about Piper-Weed?
Piper-Weed probably knew, yeah.
But do you think it's so funny that 2-3 people can know about a deal worth $75 million and the other 100+ legislators have no idea and end up voting for it?
I think it's unbelievable.
We got to take a break. We'll continue our discussion with Representative Joe Trillo and 10 News Topics continues right after this. Welcome back to 10 News Conference. Our guest this morning is Representative Joe Trillo. We were talking before the break about 38 Studios. So now the budget is passed, and in that budget is the initial payment for the 38 Studio bonds, $2.5 million. Do you think we should make any more payments?
Well, I certainly don't think we should even make this one because this is really the first payment that's due on the loan. It's like once we make this, are we not accepting the fact that we owe something when in essence, if you read the bonds and read the note that was signed, it clearly says that in no way is the state of Rhode Island
3 times
obligated to pay this
in bold print.
money back.
Right.
So now if you're not obligated to pay something and yet you're going to raise your hand and say I'm going to pay it, are you now obligating yourself? I'm not a lawyer, but I would think that this would be a step in the wrong direction.
What do you say to the people like John Simmons had an op-ed piece in the Journal last week about we should pay the bonds? Other in the business community say we should pay the bonds just for the image of the state, the business climate in the state, even though there's no legal obligation to pay the bonds. You know, it's just one more knock on the lousy business climate in the state. What do you say to those people?
I say to those people, would you come to me to pay your mortgage note when I didn't sign the note? How can you hold somebody like the state of Rhode Island obligated to a note that they didn't sign and agree to pay? You can't. And how much can that hurt you in the bond market? We did a study in the Republican minority office, and our study indicated the worst case scenario, and there's no real hard evidence because the last time something like this actually didn't get paid was during the Great Depression. Most of the bonds that have failed have been general obligation bonds, and for the viewers that are watching, a general obligation bond is what they vote on whenever they go into the voting booth. This was not that kind of bond.
That has the full faith and credit of the
right,
state
the full
behind
faith
it,
and credibility, and basically when you vote on it, you're agreeing to pay it back.
Now, what about the argument that only until you make an initial payment do you have any damages to enable you to pursue a lawsuit?
Well, yeah, I probably, if you don't make the payment, then you're creating the damages. Up until then, we haven't created any damages. So by paying this year, the insurance companies, this was all that was due. So the insurance companies aren't going to be called to kick in and pay money. So there really are no damages to anybody. The insurance companies haven't been damaged. The bondholders haven't been damaged.
The state of Rhode Island, but then that gives them, the state of Rhode Island, the claim.
You know, Bill, I use this analogy and I believe it wholeheartedly. It's like we all have insurance for our houses. And if our house burns, do we turn to our insurance company and say, guys, don't pay the premium that we've been paying you for the last 10 years. Don't pay. I'm going to pay it myself because I don't want to obligate you to pay it. That's what it is.
Let's talk about some other issues. There was a proposal to eliminate the sales tax in the state. Didn't go anywhere.
Yeah.
Should that have been done, in your opinion?
Well, would I like to see it done? I would. I would like to see us build our little state so that we are a hub of activity coming from our neighboring states as opposed to just sending all our activity to Massachusetts and Connecticut. And the only way we could do that would be to become super competitive. I do want to compliment leadership this year on something, and that is the fact that they removed the tax on liquor. And there's going to be a major experiment going on right now to see if it actually generates...
Has that got a sunset provision?
Yeah, I think it's a 1 year or 2 year.
It's also got a study commission.
It's got a study commission along with it where they're going to take testimony and just see what the benefits are. If that doesn't come out with positive benefits, then I'm sure the tax will go back. But right now, that's a very big positive thing that we're doing to measure something specific like liquor, which is easy to go across the border to get, as opposed to some of the other things if we took the sales tax off everything.
What do you think of this deal that was cut with Gordon Fox to eliminate the tolls, at least temporarily, on the Secana Bridge? First of all, do you think the bridge should be tolled? We've got to maintain these bridges, and that's nothing new, really, that we haven't been maintaining bridges. But if we don't do it from raising tolls, like on a bridge like that, how do we do it?
Well, I think if we're in the toll market and we've got to put tolls someplace, I don't think we should toll a bridge internally within our little state because we're cutting off one of the arms. It's like having a toll between Providence and Cranston. So why would you do that? Admittedly, it's a smaller area, but you're cutting the state up. If we were going to put a toll on, I would think that the best place to do it is as you come across the border from Connecticut at exit 1, that would be the ideal place to put a toll if we were going to do it.
That takes some doing with the federal government. You can't do it.
Right. I was told that what we would have to do is purchase a piece of land, and the cost of that piece of land would be approximately $30 million. And once we buy the land, we would have the right to toll it. and we could collect $60 million a year if we told it, which is a lot more than we're going to get over the Secundit River Bridge. We might have enough money at $60 million to fix all our roads.
Now, what about other avenues of getting revenue than putting in tolls? I mean, did you like that bill that suggested raising registration fees and putting all that towards bridge and road repair?
I don't like raising fees. I think we have enough money in an $8.2 billion budget to come up with approximately $10, $12 million a year, which is what we're projected to make from the tolls,
yep.
As opposed to just put it on. Can we find it? I could go through that budget today, and if I look at the budget, I'd say that's a bogus number, that's a bogus number, that's a bogus number. Because we go to all these departments, we ask them to submit a budget. Oh, it's $500,000 for this, it's $1.2 million for this. How do these numbers come out at these so right on the penny? You know what I'm saying?
So you'd like to do a zero-based budget and just start from scratch?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, I think the budget is bogus. I don't buy it. You know, I know that the department heads are probably saying, you know, that I'm saying the wrong thing, but I think there's a lot of fat in the budget. The problem is the General Assembly doesn't have the ability to go in and just say your budget is bogus. You submit the budget to us, we look it over, we take testimony on it.
We got to take another break. We'll continue this in just a minute. 10 News Conference will continue after this.
You can watch this program again on our website, turnto10.com. We also have an archive of past programs. Click on Politics.
Welcome back to 10 News Conference. Our guest this morning is Representative Joe Trillo.
And we've been talking about this contentious budget debate that got out of control, the Speaker, to the point he had to call a recess and come back the next day after going back there.
The budget was busted. It was broken.
And what do they do to get people to vote for the budget? I mean, I've heard stories.
They give away stuff. It's like he becomes Santa Claus. They come, they sit on his knee, and they make their request. What's your request? Oh, well, I want this bill passed. I want that bill passed. So that's why you're seeing a lot of these introductions coming late now. Those are bills maybe that they dreamed up, some of the people that they want passed. We know that the reason why they took the tolls off the Secundit River Bridge was nothing other than the fact that he picked up 6 votes from the reps on the border that were going to vote against the budget. So it's all about getting the votes in order to carry the House.
Well, back to what we were talking about before, about how these department budgets are sometimes bloated. Are there, does the leadership offer jobs to people who want to get their friends on the state payroll?
The leadership offers anything and everything. Okay, it could be jobs, it could be bills, it could be whatever. It could be a parking place, it could be a low number license plate. You know, it's just anything and everything.
This is good government.
This is government this is your government in action. And you know, it's not only in Rhode Island that they do this. This is all over the country. But let me just say this: because we're such a one-party state, there's no ability to stop it. Because they're like a runaway train. They have so much power, 69 reps to 6 Republicans, it's out of control.
Well, but whose fault's that? Now, every election year, we go through asking whoever the GOP chairman is, you know, that, well, we're going to get seats in the General Assembly, and that hasn't worked out so well so far in about the past 50 years. So you complain about a one-party state, but where are the Republicans? Where's the other party?
Well, I think the party's there. I really think they've been there. We've put some decent campaigns, especially for reps and senators.
But you don't have the numbers.
But I've been involved in it. Because the people in this state are so set on the fact that there's so many, that they're Democrats. Their father was a Democrat. My father was a Democrat. What does that mean? Today, he would never be a Democrat.
Well, plus the Democrats up there run the spectrum from conservative to liberal.
But you know, most people don't get involved. And I use this analogy. I think if you put how many people know what's going on, 15% of the people know what's going on, really know what's going on. Then it trickles down. So they just know, you know, the Democrats are for the average working guy. The Republicans Republicans are for the average working guy. The Democrats are for the poor. The Republicans are for the poor. The difference is we want to do it fiscally correct, and they just don't. They don't have to balance their checkbook. It's like me. They have checkbooks that the money just appears once you write the check. The money appears.
Let's talk about the TDI bill that passed, because it did pass, right? It extends it to relatives. You can get some time off. You can see where there may be an avenue for abuse here, that if a third cousin has a tooth pulled, you're going to take 8 weeks off to go. You know, were you in favor of that bill?
I don't believe I was. I don't remember the exact details on that bill, but that probably was a bill that the unions were pushing through.
Right.
And they have a tremendous amount of strength, and that's another problem that happens within the state, because the unions only support Democrats. And what they do is when they want a bill that has to do with labor, minimum wage, we raised the minimum wage this week, you know, what they do is they put pressure on their members to do it.
Talk about another labor bill. They got a bill, I think it did pass, where any contract let out for $1 million or more, it has to have higher apprenticeship programs.
Yep.
How is that fair to any other business that is not a union shop?
It's not. It's not fair. And we heard testimony from our own members on the House floor that are in construction, road construction businesses. And they said, well, you know, I just can't have that kind of program. Yet I can do a job, I can put a road in.
Right.
But you know what? We want to make sure that road costs the taxpayers enough money every time. So if you're running a city and you want to pave a road, and contractor number A is a union contractor, and that road's going to cost $10 million, but contractor B is non-union and he can do it for $8 million, you can't go to him because of this bill.
Well, although, is it that hard to put in an apprenticeship program?
Well, it's more difficult than just having it put in, but a big company is more capable of organizing it and running it, where if you have a company with 20 employees, 15 employees, they could put the road in, but they don't have somebody there. They're all worker bees, right from the office help down to the people that are actually doing the construction. Again, this was the testimony that went on the House floor.
So you think Gordon Fox will be back as Speaker?
I think he'll be back as Speaker because we're through the worst of it right now. So I'm thinking we're coming back and he will be Speaker. I mean, he was elected for 2 years. It's very difficult to take a Speaker out during his 2-year term. My question would be, could he come back for another term? And that really remains to be seen what shenanigans go on next year.
Well, let's quickly talk about the governor's race. As you know, Governor Chafee is now a Democrat. It seems like there's going to be a Democratic primary. Who in the Republicans, you have Alan Fung from Cranston.
Yes.
Do you think he's going to end up being the Republican Party's candidate for governor?
I think he will end up being the Republican.
And do you think he has enough statewide recognition right now to make a viable run?
Does he have as much as some of the other candidates in the room, talked about in the race, like the treasurer? No, I don't think he does. But I think the Democrats, if everything holds true, the Democrats are going to kill each other in the primary. If Angel Tavares gets in it and Raimondo get in it, and who else we got on the Democrat?
Chafee.
And Chafee, yeah, right. How can I forget? I tend to forget he's a Democrat now. He used to be a Republican. Thank God.
And independent.
Thank God we give him to the Democrats.
Running out of parties. Cool Moose could be next. Right? How about yourself? You going to run for re-election? You've been at this for how long now?
This was my 13th year. 13th year of doing the battle.
So are you going to run again?
I plan on running again, yeah. I enjoy it.
Thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Our guest today was Representative Joe Trillo. For Bill Rapley, I'm Jim Terracani. Thanks for watching this edition of 10 News Conference. Have yourself a nice Sunday.
You know what